Have you ever wondered what would happen if the Overwatch heroes and champions of Paladins went head to head? Well, let's find out. Today we'll be comparing each game's enlightened support character, Zenyatta from Overwatch,
Greetings.
and Jenos from Paladins.
Hello.
With the most non-biased view we can, we will be looking at both the characters' strengths, their weaknesses, and their overall performance when compared to each other based on the simplified game design of Overwatch. I have done a bit of math and converted the Paladins champion statistics to be more in line with Overwatch's to make things easier for us to compare. To start, we will be removing 1-0 from Jenos' health pool and rounding it down to the nearest 100th, which in turn changes his health to be more in line with Zenyatta's. As for the amount of damage dealt by a weapon or ability done by a Paladins champion, we will do the same. This is done because essentially these statistics are basically Overwatch's, just multiplied by 10. As for comparing the distance, the unit of measurement in Paladins is known as units, while Overwatch uses the traditional metric system. Thanks to a helpful detailed Reddit post, we are able to determine how many units equal 1 meter. Finally, anyone who's played Paladins is very much aware of the card building and legendary choice system present in the game that allows you to customize your character the way you see fit. For this comparison, we will be excluding any benefits given to a champion via these systems. We're just going to pretend that these don't exist. Who will come out on top? I don't know. Let's take a look. Both Zenyatta and Jenos are support characters that heal their teammates and disrupt enemy tactics. These characters are known to be able to hold their own against a good portion of the cast of their respective games. However, they can easily be taken out by a flank character as they are both kind of fragile. They both take a bit more skill to use than most of the other support characters. However, due to their versatility, they can greatly change the outcome of whatever situation they find themselves in. Both heroes have an equal amount of HP, however 3/4 of Zenyatta's health is actually a shield. The shield mechanic in Overwatch doesn't have any special property other than being able to regenerate over a short amount of time. It does not provide any defense bonus, nor does it change the effectiveness of an ability used against him. While Jenos doesn't have any shielding, like any other Paladins character, he can regenerate all of his health over time. Taking into consideration the fact that all the champions of Paladins automatically regenerate their health, regardless of what role they play, we will refrain from using the health regeneration mechanic to determine the outcome of this comparison. As for Zenyatta's shield, because it does not provide an initial defensive benefit whatsoever and is no different from health, it will be disregarded as well. Let's move on. First, we'll examine Zenyatta and his 20 giant anal beads of death. His orbs of destruction are a pinpoint-accurate projectile-based weapon that deals 46 and 92 damage on the body and the headshot respectively at a rate of 2.5 orbs per second, roughly translating to anywhere from 115 to 230 damage per second. Zenyatta's weapon has no bullet spread, or in this case I would have to say orb spread, and has no effective range thanks to the absence of fall-off damage. Obviously, at longer ranges, it is more difficult for him to land his shots due to travel time of the projectiles, but as long as he can actively predict the path of his target, they are pretty much as good as dead. Unlike Zenyatta, Jenos' weaponry falls into the hit scan category. Star Splitter, the 24-round Astral, Cosmic, Universal, whatever you want to call it, assault rifle, deals roughly 11 damage to the body and 22 for each headshot. Fired at the rate of 1 bullet per 0.13 seconds, the total amount of damage Jenos can do is anywhere from 88 to 176 damage per second, provided he lands all of his shots. There is some slight recoil after continuous fire, and the weapon does have fallout damage starting at around 20 to 25 meters, meaning Star Splitter is most useful for closer to mid-range combat situations. Despite this, it's still a decent poking weapon to chip away at a distant enemy thanks to its initial pinpoint-accurate first shot. While Jenos only has a primary fire to his weapon, Zenyatta has one more trick up his sleeve: his right click. We were comparing the main weapons, but because technically it is the same weapon, we will include Zenyatta's right-click charging attack for this section. The damage of the right-click stays the same, both for the headshot and body damage. However, the projectile speed is lowered just a teensy bit, traveling at roughly 80 meters per second instead of the primary fire's 90. The attack takes 4 seconds to fully charge, lobs 5 orbs in a direct path at whatever he aims at, and it deals 230 damage in total. It has no fall-off damage or range limit whatsoever. The only benefit that this has over the primary fire is that it fires more orbs in rapid succession, making it easier to burst down his opponents. This ability is extremely useful for checking corners, melting barriers, and pressuring targets both on ground and in the air. After assessing the main arsenal of our two enlightened characters, it's certainly clear that Zenyatta comes out on top. Both Zenyatta and Jenos have their strengths and weaknesses, perform differently from one another, and are used in entirely different ways. However, Zenyatta in the end can adapt to different situations a lot easier thanks to the ability to switch between careful, precise aiming and rapidly firing an extreme amount of burst damage. Furthermore, Zenyatta stomps Jenos in terms of damage and effective range. I do think Jenos would have an easier time hitting airborne targets at any distance thanks to the hit scan property of Star Splitter, and could possibly have an easier time trying to deal with a flank character that gets up all in his face, since Star Splitter does not require prediction to land attacks. However, that isn't enough to win this round. If that last section seemed a bit unfair because I threw in Zenyatta's alternate fire, well, let me explain why I did so. The first reason being is, like I said, it's technically part of his primary weapon. After all, it's the same exact thing and uses resources from the same ammo pool. The second reason would be Jenos doesn't have a secondary fire ability, and we were technically comparing the weaponry between the two. Now, don't get all riled up just yet, because now I'm going to have to talk about yet another ability that doesn't relate to anything found in Zenyatta's kit. The ability I'm referring to is Stellar Wind, which, when activated, increases Jenos' movement speed by 65%, as well as increasing his jump height and lowering his fall speed simultaneously. This ability is on a 2-second toggled cooldown, allowing frequent use of this increased movement. When we take a look at Zenyatta, there's a lack of a movement or escape ability found in his basic kit. His ultimate does boost his movement speed significantly, however, it cannot be used as frequently as Stellar Wind due to the long charge up time. Now, with that out of the way, we can finally get back to comparing abilities side by side. The second set of abilities we will be taking a look at are the main abilities of each character, the healing ones. These two abilities are almost a carbon copy of each other, but let's see which one is better in the end. Zenyatta's healing ability is named Orb of Harmony, but we'll just refer to it as Healing Orbs from now on. It just flows better. Zenyatta's healing orbs are homing projectiles that fly a max distance of 40 meters and attach to a friendly player, healing them for 30 health each second. Unless the teammate is nearby, it does take some time for the orb to actually heal them because travel time has to be taken into consideration. The orbs do not disappear after a set amount of time and remain on the teammate as long as they are in Zenyatta's line of sight. If an ally with an orb leaves Zenyatta's view, the orb continues to stay on the player for 3 seconds. This ability is great for flankers that need to be topped off when they just can't seem to sit still. And believe me, I think we all know how annoying flank characters can be. Jenos' healing ability, Astral Mark, is a targeting ability just like Zenyatta that heals 22 health every second over a duration of 10 seconds. Not only that, but the ability also heals for an additional 5% of the target's total health. This ability is on an 8-second cooldown, which means technically you can heal 2 players at once even if it is for only 2 seconds. Astral Mark's range is limited to about 18 meters, which is much shorter than Zenyatta's effective range. Although Zenyatta's orbs reach further and do not have a cooldown, Jenos has yet another trick up his sleeve. In order for Zenyatta's healing orb to work, a teammate must be in his line of sight to be given a healing orb, and must stay in his line of sight in order for it to be used effectively. Jenos doesn't have to worry about this, as he can heal people through walls. So not only does Jenos heal more than Zenyatta, but people do not actually have to stay in his line of sight to receive healing. That means that Jenos can safely heal his teammates from the back line, instead of Zenyatta, who has to remain somewhat nearby, especially in maps with a lot of obstacles and walls in the way. The last set of regular abilities we will look at are the damage boosting or damage dealing ones. This is yet another set of abilities that are different, but still the same in a way. Zenyatta's Discord Orbs don't deal damage, but placing one on an enemy does increase the damage they receive by 30%. Discord Orb travels at 120 meters per second, meaning just like Zen's Healing Orb, it's not an instant ability unless the enemy is nearby. Similar to his Healing Orbs, Discord has a max range of 40 meters, can only be applied to one enemy at a time, and remains active until out of sight for 3 seconds. Discord is a very powerful ability that allows Zenyatta and his teammates to absolutely shred anyone that isn't careful. Jenos' ability, Void Grip, doesn't increase damage, but it does hold his enemies suspended in air for his teammates to take advantage of. Void Grip is on a 12-second cooldown and only does 40 damage over 2.5 seconds, and if for some reason the enemy manages to move at all while Void Grip is active, say by using an ability, Jenos does, in fact, drop his opponent. Both Discord Orb and Void Grip are extremely powerful, disruptive abilities that teammates can and should take advantage of. However, when comparing the two abilities, Discord Orb is much more useful. Discord, just like both healing abilities, is a set and forget ability, meaning Zenyatta can multitask while using it. Like, say, placing a Discord Orb on an enemy while attacking another, or putting Discord on an enemy and healing a teammate. Void Grip doesn't allow Jenos to multitask, and that's one of the biggest drawbacks to his ability. He is locked in an animation for the entire duration of the ability. He cannot heal nor attack while using it, and that's what makes Discord so great. Discord can't be interrupted, it cannot be negated. Void Grip can. Last but not least, we will take a look at the ultimate abilities. This is where things get very strange on Jenos' end. But before we get into that, let's talk about Zenyatta. Zenyatta's ultimate, Transcendence, is a high sustainability, healing 300 health per second over a 10-meter radius that lasts about 6 seconds. This ability also increases Zenyatta's movement speed substantially, allowing him to quickly save his teammates when they're in trouble. Transcendence is a very powerful healing ability, and arguably one of the best when looking at healing per second. However, it does not completely cancel out damage. For argument's sake, if someone was able to do more than 300 damage per second, they could easily counter this. Zenyatta's ultimate ability does not make his team invincible, it only heals them very quickly. Jenos' ultimate ability, like I mentioned before, is kind of strange for a support character. When you think of a support character, normally their kit, or at least their ultimate, revolves around being able to recover or protect their team in some way. That's not the case with Jenos. His ultimate, through time and space, locks him in place for 1.2 seconds before he releases a Kamehameha, I guess, dealing 240 damage, passing through all walls and other obstacles. During the charge up of his attack, he is immune to crowd control, but he is not invincible. He can still be killed. When comparing the two, we can't really determine which one is better than the other. One ultimate is defensive, while the other is offensive. They're both useful in their own way. However, if we were to try and determine which of the two support characters were better at their designated healing role, Zenyatta would be the winner by default. While scripting this video, I thought I knew who would win, but after looking at their kits in depth and weighing the different possible scenarios and the kits against each other, I couldn't be more wrong. The clear winner between the two enlightened badasses would have to be Zenyatta. Overall, Zenyatta does more damage, and even though he doesn't have a dedicated escape or an all-purpose movement ability, the damage potential he has is more than enough in some cases to defend himself. Astral Mark lacks the line of sight healing requirement, can heal through walls, and heals more than Harmony Orbs, and can target more than one person at a time, even if it is just for 2 seconds. And in addition, with Stellar Wind, Jenos can get out of trouble if need be instead of being a sitting duck like Zenyatta. Regardless, the amount of multitasking Zenyatta can perform by healing, nerfing, and attacking simply cannot be matched by Jenos. Void Grip is great for locking enemies in place for easy kills, but they can remove themselves from this hold quite easily. Discord Orb, on the other hand, cannot be removed by an ability and cannot be negated. The two ultimates can't really be compared because they're the complete opposite of each other, but the huge amount of healing over a large radius and the fact that it's another way to heal his teammates altogether makes Zenyatta a better support character overall. Through Time and Space is an awesome ultimate ability that can cripple the enemy team when used at the right time. However, Jenos is extremely vulnerable while casting it, not being able to move, and being subject to damage. Zenyatta, unlike Jenos, remains invincible during the duration of his. Both characters are very, very team reliant. However, it seems that after looking at both of their kits, Zenyatta can get just a bit more done by himself. That's it for this week. What do you think of the result? Did you guess right? Let me know if you feel it should have been played out differently in the comments section down below. And as always, leave a like if you thought I was somewhat entertaining, and be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon if you haven't already if you like what you see. If you'd like to connect with me, I have a Twitter as well as a Discord server, and if you'd like to support me and the channel, feel free to purchase a Syberbolt t-shirt. The link for all these mentioned can be found in the description down below. Anyway, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.